Hello, good evening. This is the ELSON Bros podcast, episode 8. And this is how to start your website, and it's part 2. So we're continuing from last week, guys. Let me just bring in my brother, Dan Elson, once he pops on. And we will get started and we continue with what we was discussing last week. Hi, Robotic Woodsmith. Thanks so much for joining. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining, guys. Hi Keith Harris, hope you're well. Just about to get going, just getting my brother Dan in. 2 seconds. There he is, into the broadcast. Let me all know if you can hear me okay. It'd be awesome to see any likes and stuff like that. Let me know, comment below if you can hear me and my brother Dan Elson shortly. Let me know. Elaine Harvey, thanks so much for joining. Hope you're well. Just trying to invite my brother Daniel in here, Dan Elson, and then we'll get going. Just saying connected. Hello, Dan.
Morning from Sydney.
Good morning from Sydney. Hope you're well. Hope you're well.
How are we doing?
Yeah, all good. All good. Just come off alive from my second business, believe it or not, and I'm jumping straight into this. So yeah, all good. Awesome. This is ELSON Bros podcast, and it's episode 8, and this is how to start your website. So episode 8 and how to start your website part 2. So we give you lots of value last week on how to create your own website and what you needed, but now we're going to get further into that. I'm sure everyone knows who I am. I'm Damion Nelson, graphic designer and online presence strategist, and just here to help you grow your business online. So Dan, give us a quick introduction to yourself as well, and let's start the discussion.
Yep, absolutely. I'm Dan Elson. So my background is in digital marketing, particularly client side and then agency side. For about last 7 years, I've worked in the UK and then worked in Sydney. I'm also a world traveller. Over the last probably 3 years, I've travelled for a full year on and off. So that's my background. I really want to help small businesses grow. If you grow, we grow. I'm really like giving out advice and value of what I've learned so far. Throughout my career and helping other people, and like Damion says, I guess just to give you kind of an introduction of what you will learn in this episode. It's episode 2, so you go back to episode 1 if you haven't seen this one yet. But in this episode, what we will feature is kind of the next steps in terms of getting yourself set up on a website. So the last episode covered 3 points, which were domain name, hosting, and also what kind of platform you would use. And we recommended either WordPress or
Shopify,
e-commerce websites, yeah. So I'm guessing, Damion, this week you want to kind of focus more on the vast majority of people probably would go down the WordPress route.
Yeah.
Do you want to focus on that in this episode?
Yeah, so basically, once you've got that installed WordPress, there is quite a simple, it's simple and straightforward if you're used to being online and stuff like that. So there's a dashboard, and basically you can create your own posts for your blog and your own pages, and actually get your own navigation bar in there as well. Through all that, you can also choose an actual theme. We call them themes in WordPress, which basically is the design and layout of your whole website. So you can basically brand your whole website through WordPress and brand it to your logo, to your business branding, if you like, your identity. So that's something that I'd definitely recommend that you brand it towards what your logo is already. Just because you want that continued focus for everyone and just look really professional online. And also you can create. Sorry, there's a lot of background noise again, Dan. Is the window open?
No,
No?
I need to use
All
my
right.
headphones again next
No,
time.
it's all right. No, it's gone now anyway. But yeah, so that's the basics of WordPress is actually looking at creating pages and adding actual content into WordPress. So I think for the first instance, when you're straight into WordPress, I wouldn't worry too much about the overall design. I'd focus more on content, and I don't know what you think to that, Dan, but I almost think that you need to get some content addressed and get your website kind of started right, if you like, you know, and the fact that then you can address then after you've added content and after you've got a strategy and a schedule going into content, then you can actually look at the branding side of it and actually create the theme and the layout based on that, you know, so that's and the reason for that is I feel that you really need to get up and on the web than anything, you know, for your content to be searchable as soon as possible. So what do you think to that, Dan? What do you think about having content kind of first on that and then...
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people tend to have the, you know, they tend to get a bit, not mixed up, but more like they tend to delay it because they want it to be perfect, they want it to be 100%, and the delay it, not, you know, we've discussed in the past on just deciding what you're going to call your website, but at this stage, you know, the delay it as long as possible. It's more kind of just delaying it. They don't want to get the name out there. They don't want to get it out there without it being perfect. And I understand that, but absolutely, like, get it out there. You know, it's really important to just release it. You know, make sure there's some content. I'd really recommend probably like 5 articles, a couple of pages, which we'll feature in a minute. We'll talk about in a bit more detail to get you kind of started. But absolutely, get online, get it out there, let Google start seeing your website, you know, get it out there, and you don't need to promote it, but just as long as it's on the internet and you kind of get Google to crawl it, that's what you want to do. You just want to get it out there, you know, the whole point of kind of what we'd recommend is just start the journey, get going and get something. But I think just before you do that, it's really good to kind of map out what you're going to do. So have a clear kind of schedule, an idea of like, this is how many posts I want to do a week. This is how many pages I think I need to start with. You know, we've talked about checklists before. There's plenty of checklists online in terms of this is the kind of stuff you need to set up. So like Google Analytics, Google Webmaster Tools, all these kind of things are probably very foreign and alien to you, but there's an awful lot of guides online and all this kind of thing. So if you ever don't know, you know, type into Google. If you're still struggling, you still don't get it because it's very technical, then that's where we can go into to assist. But yeah, looking at it, you know, you need to really kind of get a plan. You know, in terms of posting, it really depends on what your website's about and all this kind of thing. But you're going to be posting a couple of times per week. Google love fresh content. It re-indexes your website, it re-looks at your website basically. It goes, all right, you're releasing some content, cool, we'll go over there and we'll check it out. So it's really good to be doing that. It shows you active, it shows you the authority, as we've discussed in previous podcasts. So I think what would be good, Damion, to go through kind of, I'm actually looking at it now, but I'm looking at my dashboard. I've just signed in for the first time. You know, I'm seeing all these different options. You know, what do we recommend? Do we recommend, right, number one, absolutely, is to sort your branding out? And, you know, if that's the case, what do you do as let's say you're doing a new website for a client? The one, you know, as first step, branding, you know, what do you decide, you know, how does that go about?
Yeah, well, basically, the thing is, with your design, you've got to make sure that your logo and any graphics you're going to add to your website is actually the size that it needs to be on your website. So in WordPress itself, in some of the themes, they're really good and helpful with actually telling you what sizes you need for your graphics, which is really good. I do know of a theme that I do use, which is called Canvas. You know, I use that a lot for clients and for myself. And that basically helps you so much, you know, in terms of what size things need to be, whether it's your graphics, your logo, even for post graphics and stuff like that. Excuse me. So, you know, there's that kind of element to your branding that you need to get right as well. Obviously, we'll keep saying again and again that, you know, you don't have to be perfect, but it's a good start to have a schedule in place for your content, for the right content of your graphics. So yeah, I'm just picking up some more noise again, Dan. But you know, it has to be branded to your colours, if you like. So if you've got branded colours, if you've got the right, you know, if you've already got a logo, then it's brilliant because you can use your colours then in your website. So certain themes that I use, it basically lets you change the colour of the background, lets you change the colour of the header, lets you change the colour, which is basically called the CSS, which is Cascading Style Sheets, right? And basically what that means is it's almost like a library of colours and text that you can actually change on your website towards your brand. So you can change all that. And so it's always looking professional towards what you're looking at. Sorry, I've just got a question there. Let me just see if I can see in it. Let me see if I can say your name. Is it Cyan or Cyan? Let us know. There is so much contradictory information out there. It's difficult to decide which to listen to. Exactly, yeah. And it's super difficult to actually get going then if you listen to loads of different information. I guess that's why workshops work really well, Daniel. You know, the fact that, you know, you can actually do online workshops with somebody, one-to-ones, or even group workshops that I've done in the past, where someone have gone, right, I'm on Skype. I even used Google Hangouts one time with a client, and literally, you know, we had like a 2-3 hour session where I actually went through the WordPress dashboard and it was exactly what they wanted, you know, that they wanted to go through exactly between how to create pages, how to get a theme going, how to get their logo on there, you know, so they got everything out of that just within the couple of hours that I give them. So that's a really, really important question you've asked there, and hopefully we've got the name right, Cian or Cyan, sorry. Or is it? Let us know if we've got your name right anyway. But yeah, hopefully we've answered that. It's pronounced Sean. I thought it might have been. Sean. Sorry about that, Sean. So not that I mind. Sorry, Sean. Yeah, Shan. Shan, actually. It's Shan. Sorry, Shan. So hopefully that's answered your question. If not, please just elaborate a little bit more. But, you know,
I can just jump in there. So yeah. And appreciate, from before you get started, it's so difficult because there's a lot of people out there, you know, especially in Sydney, which this is kind of not new, but, you know, people are learning it. You see an awful lot of prospecting ads on Facebook saying, you know, start your website in 30 minutes or, you know, make
it's never 30 minutes.
Make $1 million, you know, business online within 30 days. Look, right, you've just got to kind of use common sense when you look at stuff like that, you know. It's just, look, if they are doing something amazing like that, then they're doing 50 million times better than any digital agency, which charges extreme amounts of money to manage campaigns. So I always look at it with a pinch of salt. You know, if they're doing these $1 million websites and they can scale them up and then teach you to do it, amazing. Like, they're doing something that other people, digital agencies, which charge actual brands thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and pounds per month, that they can do. Now, if that's the case and you can give them a one-off fee of like $2,000, then everybody will be doing it. So don't get me wrong, like, well, everybody wants to make some money, but it's very difficult when you're seeing all these gurus or people giving this information. Now, look, it's difficult. You know, the easiest part of it, you know, and it doesn't sound like it, the easiest part of it is actually getting started and having a website. The biggest problem you have is generating traffic, which is relevant and quality and actually leads to sales or leads to lead generation or just leads to recruiting online. That takes time, that takes effort, that takes money. So, you know, look, my advice is just use common sense. It's easy to get drawn into the clickbait world of, I can promise you this. And look, you know, they'll do anything with caveats anyway, where it's like, oh yeah, you pay us, or you pay for my program, but if you're not making $1 million, it's not my fault. You're not trying hard enough, or whatever it is. You see, and yeah, I come from a digital marketing agency world, and look, if them people can do what they can do, then they'll be snapped up in a second. Because look, if they've got this magic pill that they can take and put you to the top of Google, or suddenly can make Facebook advertising,
you know what it is?
extremely
It's
cheap.
actually putting that work in. You've got to put the work in. You've
Yeah.
got to do it. You have got to put a lot, you know, you've got to put your time in there.
100%.
You've got to invest all your time and effort in your business if you're going to do it. You know, you've got to be 100% sure what you want and what you want to give out. So what I would say is that I've actually been on a website today, and because so it's like a skateboarding or scooter park, indoor park, local to me, because it's going to be somebody's birthday or whatever, you know, it's going to be a party. And what I'm saying is that I went to the website and it looked to me, it's a box standard layout. You can tell it's WordPress and it's a normal general free theme, if you like. Knew it straight away, but the reason why I stayed on that website is, well, I wanted that content. I wanted to see the content. I wanted to see what it was about, what they do, and what it looks like. And that's why I stayed on there, and it gave me value. I now know what it looks like. So what I'm saying, that's why I'm going back to the fact that it is about content. You know, you have to be prepared to create that content for your website, and along with obviously creating graphics. But
yeah, well, that's a mixture of kind of doing it for the consumer, so your target audience, and also do it for Google, so Google can only scrape your website and understand what you try to talk about. But obviously, it'd be good, like Damion saying, it needs that content on there. For the customer, you know, you don't want them to come and just go, well, he's not here, it's not telling me anything. So again, that should be part of your plan. Again, that's the strategy. That's where you probably, when you are starting out, you probably do that and need that extra kind of knowledge and experience to drive you on the right strategy. But it's difficult to try and understand what you need to include. So it's just right at the start, you need to decide what you want your website to do, what you want it to feature, all this kind of thing. And look, like, we're giving this advice out on this podcast because we both do it. Damion's created loads of websites for clients. I've done it in the agency setting. And look, you know, we're not lying to say that this is what we do. This is what we know, and we try to help you all with this.
Yeah.
And look, Damion's absolutely right. Like workshops, not necessarily Damion maybe, but with anybody, when it's like one-to-one and they're showing exactly how to do stuff, then there's no grey line. You know what I mean? It's not, they're just not trying to sell you something. It's
the fact that they're doing it as well. They're doing it with you, and you're showing you how to do it. Rather than writing it down at a seminar in your notebooks, and I might go back to that notes, but how many times do people actually go back to the notes? You know, you need that physical interaction there and then of learning exactly what you've paid for or what you want. And that's what it's all about. It's all about giving that value. And that's constantly what we're on about. That's why we're doing these podcasts every week. We're constantly wanting to give you the value. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to just address Abraham has asked a question. I don't know if you saw that, Dan, but let's see if we can answer him. Because it is, how long should we devote to it? And when do we know if it's not going to work out? So, super, super awesome questions. Now, how long should we devote to it? Now, it just depends how passionate you're about your venture, about your business idea, how passionate you are, how far you're wanting to go, and, you know, what you're going to invest in that, you know. Trust me, I don't know what you think to that, Dan, but that's kind of more of an answer that I'd like to give. It just depends on yourself. It's your self thing, isn't it? It's yourself. You've got to know yourself for what you want.
Classic analogy is as long as a piece of string, I'm afraid. It's one of them things where, like, people say, right, there's like two routes to go down. Number one route is you pick something that you're really passionate about, you want to write content on, you want to get your knowledge out there and experience. This is what we're doing. Option number two, you find something which is trending or something that potentially has a lot of value online or an opportunity, or somebody's not doing well or you can improve on. Great. But if you go down that route and there's no passion behind it, there's no you know, you're talking about dog collars, you don't like dogs, for example, then look, you're going to find it very difficult to write content, to progress with it, to be motivated with it, and that's the very tricky thing. So you've got two options to go down. They're two different paths. Now, look, it's difficult. You know, how long do you put into a business? You know, if you're going to put $100 or £100 into starting a new website, like we discussed in episode 1, with a domain name, you know, and hosting. Look, if you're going to put $100 in, is it the fact that you only count that as, you know, 3 months, if nothing happens, nothing happens? Well, that's not going to happen online. You know, you're looking at least 6 months plus before you start seeing any traction. But it all depends, like Damion says. Look, I'd always say, like, if it's something you're really passionate about, you want to turn it into a business, which is where you got to look at it. You got to do the same amount of hours that you're doing in your full-time job. I know it's difficult.
Yeah.
Every night you've got to have a plan. You've got to have an action plan. Like tonight, look, 3 hours. Weekend, I've got 7 hours. Look, you've got to treat it as a business. You know, how long would you start up a business in real life? You invest 50 grand. You know, how long would you do that until you think that you know, oh, you've had enough? So, look, it totally depends. But if you're doing 1 hour a week, then expect to see 1 hour return. And if you're brand new at this, look, that's why you probably do need some assistance. You do probably need some help. And I've seen your comment there about, look, I'd love to have a video about how to start it up. Look, how big's this, you know, how long is this video going to be? I mean, so many things to cover. Look, I know for newbies, it absolutely blows your mind, but there is so much to cover. You know, just to us do a video, Damien's got some very good videos on his YouTube channel that you can check out, which are like how to set up a page or how to write your first post. Really good, really simple, but look, like that's such a small part of the massive pie of what's around this kind of website world. And look, you can do a beginner's workshop. Damian, we've done them in the past. We could do one-to-ones online, all this kind of thing. But look, you know, there's different levels. There's beginner, there's advanced, there's more advanced. You've got to really understand, and that's why you probably do need to get assistance from somebody else. You know, either it'll be through training or look, I don't know anything about SEO. Can you just sort it out for us? Tell me what you're doing so that I know. But you know, that's why people use agencies. That's why these massive companies use agencies, because they've got the experience and the knowledge of cutting edge knowledge as well, but also something that you don't have. So sometimes in life, like, you can't do everything. You know, Richard Branson was best at that. He acknowledged, and as everybody does kind of now, like he acknowledged what he's good at. Let's concentrate on that. Let's get somebody else to do all the other stuff I'm not good at. So look, it's really difficult. It's really difficult to just have one episode that says this is how you can start a website. And like I say, the easiest part of all this, believe it or not, is creating the website. The most difficult part of it is generating the traffic, the relevant traffic, and growing yourself online. That's where the strategy comes in. That's why, you know, massive companies need help with strategy. So yeah, just going back to kind of the original point was, you know, get your graphics sorted, you know, your branding. That's what's really important. It's going to be there forever. I do see a lot of people of like, you know, I'll get a logo from Fiverr. Well, if that's what your website's worth to you, then all right. You know, expect to get what
I suppose you've got to start somewhere, like, you've got to start somewhere. Yeah. You know, it's a funny thing. It just depends how much. Yeah, go on.
I'm just reading comments there, so, you know, a couple of the comments there, and I know there's been back and forward, so I really appreciate the involvement and the interaction here. Yeah, so, you know, I know it's difficult, kind of, you know, can you go down two paths? Do you mean in the sense of, can you have a passion and as well as something's trending? Absolutely. That's
definitely,
that would be the golden, you know, the circles and the space in the middle. That would be perfect. Yeah. But it's difficult, you know. I wouldn't be spending, you know, you've got to have a fixed understanding of kind of what you want to do. Don't just rush out and get a website. You know, and to be honest, that's why if somebody came to us and said, you know, I want to have a website, you know, the questions we'd ask is like, you know, what you want to achieve out of that website, what it's about, you know, who you're going after. All these questions need to be answered, and it's not to be awkward or anything like that, but they need to be answered because, yeah, we could go away and build you a website, and, you know, it all depends on kind of what you want, but we could build you a website, and then we give it to you. and you'd be like, well, what do I do? How do I do it? That's cool, we can show you. But then it's the long-term game, like, what do I do with it now? And it's all well and good having a website, but I've got nobody traffic. I don't know how to get traffic. I don't know where my customers are. Look, all these are the difficult points that you need to ask at the start. And like I say, I'd much rather not just give you a website and go, there you go, and just take your money, because it doesn't help anybody. And in 6 months down the line, you're like, oh, I got conned by the ELSON Bros. Well, yeah, it does feel like that. So we don't want to do that. We want to give value out. So it's a tricky
consistent value. We need to give that consistent value, and that's what we're doing every week with these podcasts. You know, we're always here to give you value up front, and we're just giving you our, experience. We're not perfect at all, but we're here just to. At one stage last year, me and Dan we always when we got together, we always just did these chats in the kitchen at his parents' house, and we just waffled on. And we were giving each other value, and we're, might be in a bit more, sometimes disagree and stuff like that. But yeah, there were a lot of good conversations, and we just thought, you know what, we need to do this live. We need this on a podcast, because there's so many people that will value our time and value the knowledge and what we've got to say, So that's why we're here, and that's why we're doing it. So it is about, again, it's about that value. It's about that content. And we repurpose these videos so you can watch them again. So you might have learned them now and you're watching them live. But guess what? You're going to go press replay again on YouTube, or you might watch this replay later on in my feed. That's what we want you to do. We want you to keep watching and keep listening, because the more you listen over again, the more you're going to learn. Probably more so from what we've done. And like we've mentioned earlier, we've got 8 episodes now. So there's a lot of value content out there on those YouTube channels. Excuse me. So, we're just here to help you guys. And, this is WordPress. So, this is creating your own website. It's creating graphics for that. We're just giving you value, what you actually need for a website to get going. Obviously, you need to create pages on there, a navigational bar. There's so many different aspects to a website, like we're saying, but you've got to have some good idea, and almost, if your idea is a good idea as well, almost, you've got to have a good go at it and see, how it goes. But I'm just trying to think of what Adrian was saying, that the fact that, you don't want to spend too much time on something that might not deliver, but sometimes you've got to take that risk, I think. Sometimes you've got to take that chance to just dip your toe in and almost invest and just see how it goes with certain ventures. That's what life's about. Otherwise, you'd be just sat there watching TV all night and being bored out of your head. So, literally, me and Dan, we've just got our dads absolutely motivated from his dad, I think, that the fact that we're constantly on it. We're constantly on it, whether, and that's why we're doing this ELSON Bros thing, because it's an agency. We're going to be 24/7, sorry. The fact that you're in Australia, Dan, and I'm in the UK, so we're always kind of open for any advice that you need. So that's what we're here for. And we and the time that we're giving, it's 10 p.m. after, it's 20 to 11 here in the UK, and it's just, I think, 7:30 or something a.m. over there, Dan. So we're giving our valuable time to you guys. We want to give you it. So I'm just reading Sean again here. This is the first time I've caught your podcast, so I'm definitely way behind. But so far, you are both very easy to understand. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Sean. I'm really glad to hear that. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channels, please PM me or PM Dan, private messages, and we will send those links over to you, because I know you'll need to watch the other 7 episodes, especially if you're watching this part 2. You want to get that part 1, you see. So, that's super awesome of your comments. Thank you so much for coming in. So addressing, page creation, and then we were going to go on, Dan, sorry.
We'll put his YouTube channels below, but go back and comment, like and subscribe to his channels if you're finding all this useful. I just wanted to kind of add and just say that on a daily basis, what I try and do is try and get better at 1%. So I know if I watch an article, or if I watched like an hour of Gary Vee or whatever, then if I learn like one thing out of that, or read a book or whatever it is, absorbing content, valuable content. If I read a book or whatever, and you get one thing out of it, then you're so much better than you started because you got that one thing. So I always look at it in that perspective, and I always think, look, you know, it's easy to watch content after content and content, and you get down the rabbit hole as it is. So I always think like 50% really, you know, absorbing content, bringing in content. You know, you don't have to watch the full video at once, or you don't have to, if you don't find it useful, you know, cut it off. But then 50% content creation, that's where you've got to look at it. So just to get back, you know, I'm a bit wary of time here this morning, so just to get back to the podcast is just like, so just starting online. So you've got to, you know, get your branding right. You know, think about what that looks like. Think about your brand name, your logo, and all that kind of thing. Again, don't just keep getting stuck on it and not putting anything out there. Just do it. You can always make it better later. So just get out there. Number two thing is to sort your themes, as Damion already suggested. There's tons of themes out there. You know, some of them aren't responsive. I did that, you know, about 6 months ago with my website. Didn't really realise that it wasn't responsive.
You've got to learn. You just got to keep learning.
Yeah. What we mean by responsive is that it doesn't work on your mobile phone, or it doesn't give your user a very good experience. Say like 9% of traffic now is mobile phones. I see that every day in my industry, in my job.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely mobile first, and that's where that we approach stuff. So yeah, make sure that it works on mobile phones, to double check when you load it up. So you've got to load up your theme, and then you can see your website. It's live. Cool, awesome. But then what do you do next? Well, our advice would be make sure you've got your pages sorted. So I always write stuff in Google Docs, so for spelling and all this kind of thing. Sorry about that.
We've lost Dan.
So I use Google Docs, which is free. Google Documents. So write in there, check what your spelling, all this kind of thing before you put it into Google. Before you put it into your WordPress. And make sure you have your your standard pages, what you'd expect. So you want about us page. You know, what's the website about? What you try to do? What's your mission? All that kind of thing. Then you'll want your what's next? Contact us page. So how people can contact you. Put you on your Facebook on there. Put your all this kind of stuff on there. And
services,
remember,
gallery, products. It just depends.
Yeah.
It just depends what you want on your website. But it's the story of you basically. You know, the homepage, the about us page, the contact us. You know, really simple stuff that that you can drive that path for somebody to visit what you do, see what you do, give lots of value up front on your website, and the fact that then you can contact them for that, or contact you for that. You know, that kind of thing. It's quite simple once you get started, and do make those notes. I do use Google Docs. I also recommend evernote.com. I think I've said it in every podcast episode, but that evernote.com is really good because you can share documents as well between emails. So that's what me and Dan do sometimes for these podcasts. And it's just getting down to the nitty gritty of content. And it's time, but I think you would put that investment in if you're up for getting it right online for yourself. Just to add a quick little thing about plugins for WordPress, because a lot of people probably know about plugins, but then they're a bit scared to actually add a plugin or two and stuff like that. So what I would say is don't be too scared about uploading plugins. If you need to check out how to actually upload and activate a plugin, I do have a YouTube video on that tutorial, so it's really simple to do, and it's just about playing with them really and getting the right ones that work for your website. What I would advise though is not to have too many running at the same time, because I found that some clients might have a long list of them, and it almost like makes your website super slow, and then it's super hard to actually find. You've got to go through them all to find the actual one that's actually making your website slow. It might be one or two that's making it slow because again, you're not sure which plugins to use. So again, me and Dan obviously can advise you on that. But also what I'd say is that when you're looking at plugins, look at the star rating and look at the reviews. Because if it's got no stars, don't even go there. Don't even download that plugin, because it could be, I don't know, spammy, or something could be totally wrong with it. So it could mess your website up really easy. So just a few things there that I wanted to just add there as well, Dan.
Yeah, so just jump in with plugins. There's some ones that you really want on your website, but then there's some others which, again, more probably advanced things, which, like Damion said, we can help with in terms of what we use actually on our personal websites, what we think you need to use depending on what your goal is of your website and all this kind of thing. But Damien's point about having too many plugins in there, yeah, absolutely. Like, look, it can be tempting to add these plugins. Plugins increase your experience, increase the customer's experience on your website. So it allows you to do so many awesome, cool things. Big props to people who created WordPress. It's fantastic. So, yeah, perfect, but he's right in the sense of, look, if you've got loads running, what happens is, for your website to load up, you're very technical, but for your website to load up, the hosting company needs to basically push it to the World Wide Web. Bet nobody said that for a few years. Push it to it, and then it needs to show it within your browser. Now, when Google are basically loading it up, it has to go through this massive list of plugins. It has to send little pings to the plugins
Messages,
to show.
Yeah.
So what happens is that takes time. Now, there's graphics I've seen recently which are going around, which says even if your website's 3 seconds slower than the average standards, you lose £50 million or whatever, on average. Just crazy figures, because they're right. Look, just use your personal experience. If a website doesn't open within 6 seconds, 5 seconds, you're forget it, next one. So look, this is the world we live in. People are so reactive. People are so click your fingers and want it now. So just going back to the mobile thing that I mentioned earlier, make sure that it is it's not doing stuff like that. If it takes more than 10 seconds, and you need to really look into it. Again, if that's happening, if you've got a slow website, we can look into that and see why it's been so slow. But there's plenty of tools out there in terms of rating your speed of your mobile phone. And something that I come up against all the time with client websites, you always see that some sites just take so long, and it is kind of a quick fix. There's a number of things that you can look at, which we won't get into, very technical, but there's a number of things you can look at to try and speed up websites. So, look, we've kind of covered quite a lot. It's getting to 7:50 now.
I just mentioned the fact that, in my experience, that it's probably sometimes it's down to your hosting as well. So who you host your website with, that can reflect on how fast or slow your website it can be as well. For some reason, I don't really know the technical of third-party websites that offer the hosting, but in experience from clients myself, that it can actually drag your website down if you don't get the right hosting. So again, that's something you can advise on as well. But yeah, you've got the time there, Dan. I know that. So yeah, if anyone ever has got any questions, let me just see what Sean said. Thanks. I think I need a dictionary of computer terminology. It's very new to all this. Well, we're here to help, Sean. So if you want to message us, get in touch, and we will help you as much as we can. Leanne Isaacson, thank you so much for joining. Leanne Isaacson, let me just tell you quickly, Dan, that she is in Australia. So Leanne lives in Australia, and she's a LinkedIn expert. So, thank you so much for coming in, Leanne. Really appreciate your time for coming in here. Thanks again, Dan, for your time and for your value. Always appreciated from myself. Yeah, good morning, Leanne. Good morning. Hope you're well. I've not seen you for a while. I used to do a lot of blabs, Dan. I don't know if you heard of blab. I don't know if we did a blab together, but it was almost like Periscope or Google Hangouts, and it was very popular about 2 years ago, I think now, Leanne, wasn't it? And Leanne was one of the people that I was on with as well. So it was really good discussions that I had at that time. So it was a really good platform, but it's a shame that I don't know the reasons why, but it just got taken down. So unfortunately, that's what happens. But so You were, yeah, she was Blabberlick. So yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool to get your value out on a different platform as well. There was a lot of people across the world that was on there. So I think there were a lot of sad faces when they actually went. But so yeah, we made some amazing friends. Yes, we did. Amazing people on there. Amazing connections throughout the world. So let me go now because I'm going to go. Are you going to go, Dan? Are you get yourself to your day job? And I'll get to my night job.
Yeah, so I suppose if anybody has got any questions or want us to do a follow-up video podcast to kind of how to create you like I said, we've got these guides on Damion's YouTube channel. We'll put the links below.
Yeah.
But like if you want us to do a live Q&A of like anything in terms of like, look, you've got a problem, or you don't know how to do this, or look, you know, can we talk about like, you know, setting up you know, your SEO for your website, or you know, whatever it might be, we can feature it here. But this episode, you know, we just really wanted to help you with the second part. You know, like I said, just to kind of summarize the first episode, go back to that episode 1, which was episode 7.
Part 1. Part 1. Part 1. This is part 2. But
and that was all about getting your domain name bought, getting your hosting so that you can host it on the web, and picking kind of the platform. This episode we've talked all about WordPress, how you can use WordPress. It was really good for, you know, creating. Probably 90% of people probably watching this, unless you go down the e-commerce route, probably WordPress is your friend. You know, what you need to do to get up and running, you know, your branding, your theme, get your first couple of pages up, so your about us, your contact us, all this kind of thing, and make sure
don't be scared of plugins.
Yeah, and get things live and get out there. Keep doing content, you know, like you might look at your first post, or if it's a video or your first article, whatever it is, you look at 6 months' time and you can go back and improve it. That's the perfect thing. You go back,
edit it all the time,
I'd always suggest that putting a comment which is like, oh, updated on, just so that your consumers know. But look, go back and edit it, that's not a problem. But look, things don't have to be perfect. Just get out there, keep doing stuff, have a plan of action of how you're going to approach this, you know, how much time you're going to devote to it, all this kind of thing. But yeah, the main thing that you've got to worry about kind of going forward is not necessarily getting a website up and running. You know, we could help you with that. We can go through the process. We can show you whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But it's after that. It's the strategy after that of generating the relevant traffic, people that are going to come to your websites and buy a product, or generate yourself leads for your business, or, you know, if it's just informational, you know, making sure that Google can find your products and will rank, find your information and rank it. So look, you know, there's a lot to cover. Can't cover it all in one session. But I want to give enough value out in this podcast.
And
so that you can
I've always said that it's your thing that you've created or whatever. It'll never be perfect for you, but it will be perfect for your audience. It will be perfect for them. The content, value that you're giving out is going to be perfect for them, but it won't be perfect for you. It's like your brand. You'll never be happy with your brand. But if you get something online and get something out there, someone's going to see it and go, wow, that's the perfect person that I want to deal with. That's it. Simple as. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Just to end it, what I do is
yeah.
Not a screen over, but you can see it here. This is my WordPress login. So when Damion about earlier.
You've gone a bit quiet, Dan. You've got a little bit quiet on that speaker. So I think what Dan's showing is dashboard of WordPress. Sorry, you went a bit quiet then. Oh, your sound's gone.
What I'll do is I'll just quickly show you my WordPress dashboard before I jump off, just so you can see what it looks like and kind of what Damion on about, and you know how it's all kind of set up really.
Definitely, yeah. Brilliant, yeah. So that's your dashboard. There's your posts, media pages, comments, people that comment on your website. It's all there. Brilliant.
So
Brilliant.
look, just going back to the point of, look, we're here to help. We're not here to rumble you. We're not here to promise the world. We're not here to say, look, you're going to be a millionaire in 30 days.
No.
Just use common sense for all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, you know, people are out there to scam people, as they've always done from the beginning of time. So just be a bit cautious. You know, we're giving this advice out because we do it ourselves. We use WordPress ourselves. You know, that was live version of my dashboard on my laptop. So look, you know, we try to help you. If you want us to feature anything else or mention anything else in terms of giving out value to help you, then absolutely, you know. But look, you know, I always look at the thing is, look, if you're really good and you know your kind of topic inside or out, great, you can write awesome content. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to go down the route of really understanding WordPress, because that could take months, it could take years, you know. So sometimes look out, you know, look for advice and assistance and all that kind of thing to get going. And that's all about motivation, which are another one of this podcast. So yeah, let's pretty much end it. Hopefully you found this really interesting. We'll drop some links below. Go to Damion's YouTube channel because it's really good for kind of beginners. How to set up a post, how to install a plugin, all this kind of thing, which is great.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that. It's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, plenty of stuff going on. Hopefully that you found the podcast really interesting. Go check out the other podcasts on our YouTube channels. Really valuable stuff, and hopefully everybody found today really good.
Yep, brilliant. Thanks, Dan, and awesome. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. Really appreciate your time. Please keep sharing this out if you're watching the replay. Really good, and it's going to be on YouTube channel, so please check out my YouTube here, and I think Dan's going to put his in shortly in the comments. So that's us out. So see you, bye guys. Cool. See you.
Bye from Sydney.
See you, bye.